Hey everybody, this is Perch, and we are talking some news in comics. As I've been mentioning, if you've been following this channel, I mentioned that coming around October, we would start to see a bunch of big Marvel launches and other kind of bigger events that are starting to happen. And this why? Because the Penguin Random House deal fully takes effect, and Marvel wants to make sure that the books they have out on the shelves are strong, that they're spiking, that they want those first couple months to be strong. Understandable why they would want to do that, and it's all part of kind of getting the numbers off on the right foot from the beginning. So, as people who've been listening to this channel know, I've said expect a lot of relaunches, some big creative team announcements, a lot of kind of shuffling of books, and one of the books that recently came to an end was Venom. At the conclusion of the King in Black storyline, Donny Cates's kind of his MO since the start of that book. We basically Null, kind of the big bad that was teased at the very beginning, was defeated, and Eddie Brock became the new god of the symbiotes. And so what happened next, we weren't sure. But what is happening next is the title is being relaunched. It is going to be written by Al Ewing and Ram V, who are doing kind of joint writing duties. More on that in a minute. And then they would be the artist announced for the book is Brian Hitch, whose last regular series, I believe, was Hawkman. If memory is right, he's done other work since then, but I think his last regular series he was announced and put on was Hawkman. Now, it's worth noting that the press release, the news says that the book is launching with Al Ewing, Ram V, and Brian Hitch. What you're inferring there is that Brian Hitch is on the book for the long term. They reference things like The Authority and kind of some of the other bigger books that Hitch has been on over the years. Marvel being Marvel, I would love to be wrong with this, but Hitch is he's sped up in more recent years, but he's been a slower artist, certainly for the Ultimates. A lot of detail and care was being put into that book, and I think he's adapted a little bit. But Marvel typically doesn't have artists on books for longer than, say, 2-3 issues before they are swapped out. So, what is the likelihood that Brian Hitch is on this book in January? The book is launching in November, and so we'll have at least a couple issues out at the end of the year. But I think, again, the odds of Hitch being on this book for any length of time, I think, is pretty small. But here's hoping. That would be nice. Al Ewing and Ram V, there's been some joint writing kind of teams that we've seen in the past. I think we saw it with Iron Man recently with Dan Slott and Christos Gage, I believe. We've seen Jim Zub team up with some people in the past. I'm trying to think. I think he did Iron Man as well. There's been some combos that we've seen, but generally speaking, they don't last for very long. So Al Ewing is doing a lot right now. Now, Al Ewing is wrapping up Hulk. There's plenty of speculation that Donny Cates will be the new writer on Hulk, because that book is relaunching. We just don't know under who. But people may be going, hey, wait a minute. When did Incredible Hulk end? It's ending with issue 50 is what's happening. And so there's kind of some assumption that come November, December, right in that same time frame, where Marvel is staggering out a bunch of big launches, that we'll get a new book. And right now, odds-on favorite is that Donny Cates is going to be the writer of Hulk. And there's a lot of rumors swirling. There have been for a little while that's where he was going to go. This new Venom series is basically... The press release says, Ewing will bring the same game-changing style that's made Immortal Hulk a critical and commercial success. I find that sentence a little funny, because it's like, well, yeah, I mean, you want to say he's going to bring the top-selling success style to the book. You're not like, Al Ewing will be bringing his Mighty Avengers style to... It's like, you pick the books itself. Anyway, Ram V, of course, who's primarily known for his DC work right now. Obviously, he does these Savage Shores, but he's currently doing the Justice League Dark backups in Justice League, the Bendis book. He's doing Catwoman. He's done some other things. Ram V is, I think, considered one of these rising talents that a lot of eyes are on him. It feels like the next couple of years are going to be pretty powerful for Ram V and kind of his work. The two of those styles will be interesting to see them come together. In the promo art for this, we see shots of Venom in space. So this feels a little reminiscent of the Venom Space Knight. The logo has been adapted somewhat, and Ewing is definitely all in on space related kind of material and what he's doing with Guardians of the Galaxy and with Sword. Venom, of course, was a member of Guardians of the Galaxy back when Flash Thompson was wearing the suit and was doing that whole Venom Space Knight thing. So, not sure. From the promo art, Venom flying around in space, it feels like we're at least getting some sense. He's also in the promo art. We see a bunch of other kind of Venom-looking clones, or not clones, but just other kind of symbiotic black characters flying around with Venom. So maybe it's him and his new, Shadow Army, Symbiote King Army. There's another piece of art that they show, which just shows Venom kind of on some rubble with the teeth and everything else, looking like more classic Venom. So who knows exactly what we're going to get? But I think if you're a betting person right now, I think Venom in Space certainly feels like what you're about to get. There is a free comic book day specifically for Spider-Man Venom that, in theory, is supposed to tease up kind of the bridge between King in Black and the cosmic adventure that Venom is going to go on as part of his new ongoing series. So anyway, that's basically what we've got. So our first of our biggest relaunches, there's several in the making that we have. Like I said, Donny Cates has something coming up. Jason Aaron has been building up to what he believes is his big kind of 50th issue of the Avengers, which is going to also have some big consequences for the Marvel Universe as a whole. It's hard to read too much into these press releases when they're like, and nothing will be ever the same again. It's like, well, it probably will be somewhat the same again, but there is definitely, I think, a somewhat of a clock. If I'm predicting that Jason Aaron moves on from the Avengers at issue 50 or soon after. There again were plenty of rumors that Donny Cates would take a shot at the Avengers at some point. He's obviously writing Thor right now. He's written kind of some of the Avengers showing up in some of the Venom storylines and King in Black that he's doing. There is a feeling at Marvel that Donny Cates is kind of this big event kind of writer, which is the kind of writer they would like to see for the Avengers and kind of what that book needs to be. Again, lots of shuffling. There's some names on the board. Keep in mind, and there's been no rumors about this, and it depends on how badly burnt the bridges are, but Brian Michael Bendis is no longer exclusive to DC, and so in theory, he could also be somebody who comes over. That would be kind of more on the outside realm of possibilities, just given, not a lot of time has passed since he left, and that did definitely irritate some people within the office. Even though they wished him well, there was some hard feelings there, I think. There's a handful of writers and creative. Ryan Stegman has something else that in theory he's going to go to, whether that's kind of the Marvel method of going to events, or maybe he follows Donny Cates over and that's the new team on Hulk. Again, lots of things to speculate on. What is interesting is if you look at the sales and kind of the early numbers, and keep in mind we're seeing only bits. There's a couple interesting things to kind of look at as we head into October, November. Number one, the X titles continue to kind of sag a little bit. Now, the Hellfire Gala is intended to kind of pump a little bit of interest and maybe have the lower selling stuff sell a little bit more because of the big changes that they're teasing and actually getting to Moira and some of the bigger things. But the titles continue to slump a bit. And on the other end of the spectrum, the Heroes Reborn event, despite lots of comments from lots of people about over-ordering and all the rest, the sales are coming in stronger for Heroes Reborn than people were expecting. Now, granted, I think the bar was set low in a lot of people's minds about what that event would do, but there has been a healthier pickup of reorders and other things into this book than people were expecting. And that's just interesting kind of to track all that. The other character, by the way, that I keep hearing, two characters that I keep hearing we're going to see more of is Ghost Rider and Blade. And in both cases, I think there's probably some relaunches in the future around those two. If you want to try and predict what's going on with Marvel, I think you can look at kind of the slate of Disney Plus movies. I mean, we will get a She-Hulk series of some sort before that comes out. Miss Marvel is expected to be relaunched any day. Now, how crazy would that be if it was Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman on Miss Marvel? That would be nuts, but we're not getting that, I think we could safely say. But anyway, a handful of Marvel announcements are coming over the next month. I expect to hear several more. particularly in the next week or so of these kind of announcements. Will they catch? Will be interesting. But right now, Al Ewing, Ram V, Brian Hitch on Venom with seeming cosmic adventures. Are you into it? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and thanks for listening.